Hello, how's it going? It's Royce Rosewood of the Ragamancers, doing something a little bit different today. I wanted to talk about, for a couple of reasons, the an oracle that you may or may not be familiar with. It's called the Publishing Goblin's Dice Oracle. This is the book that goes with it, but the actual oracle itself is this set of colorful dice. And the reason that I wanted to talk about it is that there's a Kickstarter going on right now for the new and final edition. This is not sponsored content. This is just me, a fan, telling you, people who are interested in oracular storytelling, about a Kickstarter that you might be interested in. The Oracle, I think, is more designed for like personal readings, but just like anything, it could be used for oracle-based storytelling as well. To kind of point people to the Kickstarter, I wanted to show it off a little bit, but I also wanted to actually use it to generate some lore for the ongoing Sphere Hoppers campaign. I want to answer a question that's been kind of mulling around in my mind and see if the Oracle can point us in the direction. So I'm going to take this over to the desk and we'll do the reading. Great, so here we are over at the desk. So this is part of how the dice work. This is a grid. You take the dice and you cast them upon the grid, and the different zones indicate different kinds of meaning. Now this is a two-sided cloth. There's another mat over on the other side. So you can choose, or you could make your own. As with many of these things, there are lots of different ways to do it. So I am not an expert. I'm going to be consulting the book as I look for the meanings. And again, there's lots of different ways to do it. You could cast all these dice. That would be a lot of information. That's more than we need. You could choose the dice that you think are relevant to the question that you have, or you could just reach in and do random, that's what I'm going to do. I know from experience that this oracle can give a lot of information, and I don't need that much, but I am going to take I'll try to take 6 or 7 dice at random from this bag and see what happens. So the question that I have today, the thing that I want answered is, I'm thinking about the character Dragogg in our Sphere Hoppers campaign. And we know that he is seeking the sphere of the gods. He believes that the home of the gods is an actual physical place that can be reached, and you can use mathemology to figure out how to get there. What I want to know is, as the stakes raise throughout our adventure, and if you're caught up on Sphere Hoppers, you know what I mean. I know that he wants to do this. I don't know why. I don't know why it's so important to him to find this sphere of the gods. So I'm hoping to use this oracle, which generally deals with kind of larger themes and kind of deeper ideas, to see if I can get some inspiration about understanding Dragogg's motivation. So I'm reaching into the bag. I'm grabbing a small handful of dice. I'm just going to grab one more. All right. And then I'm going to, at random, kind of drop them into the grid, and we will see what we have got. If a die has landed in the core, that's very central to the reading. And this is the kindness die. The arrow through the heart is a classic symbol of love. Love as the core of a reading. Joy, let love flow. The arrow heart is life and question struck through with love. Well, that is a very clear answer. And then we have the mariner die in this within, and this has to do with things directly related to the person in question. And it is also in the past. So this is the gull face of the mariner's die. It speaks to resilience, freedom, adaptability, and escaping the place of self-consciousness. Based on what I know about Dragogg, there is sort of the sense that he wanted to get out of God's reign. He wanted to get out of his small life. So I'm thinking maybe that's kind of what that represents. This is a part of that. All right, I'm also looking at this die in the past. This is the alchemy die. Fun fact, this die, the lines actually glow in the dark. Iron in the past. Solid matter, strength, power in the form of solidity, human defense, physical protective. I'm wondering if there's something about Dragogg's personality that is sort of unyielding. Like once he commits to a course of action, he just sort of sticks with it. And then I'm looking at this die that's still in past, but kind of way out in the without. These are like external circumstances, and it's almost getting over into foundation here. This is a die from an expansion. This is the movement die. This is called Topple, is the moment in which you say sorry, is how you overtake another. Be wary how you make this passing. Do not leave others regretting sharing space with you. So I think this is again like, when he left God's reign, he kind of left on poor terms, and he maybe made enemies, especially with the leader, Dozents. Not enemies, but, did not maybe handle it in the best way, and sort of that. And we've seen that in the campaign, right? And that sort of played out. I think maybe that's what this represents, is sort of when you stick to your guns and you feel like you have to get out, maybe you do that regardless of people's feelings. And so on the external side here, right, he has, hurt people as he's left. All right, now we have the suits die in Faded. It's got cups. Cups, this is related to tarot. So this is intuition, emotional fulfillment. And I'm thinking, based in this context, right, there's this connection, this love as the center thing. So, and when emotion is in Faded, that sort of gives me, these two, I think, feel connected, and sort of like this sort of love that feels faded, or is like this destiny. So we don't know who that person is, because this is new information for me. But that is really, really interesting. All right, and then this is the Gambler's Die. This is way out here. I need to look up what this section means again. Top left corner is inevitable, the meeting of Faded and future. The things that are come to head that are unavoidable. It kind of, again, connects to this sort of star-crossed lovers, faded destiny kind of thing. Gambler's Die, and this is Chance. This die face is the Wheel of the Tarot, the Wheel of Fortune. Chaos, fate, randomness, and an unknowable complexity. So sort of this sense that there are forces beyond our control. Things just sort of happen sometimes. That is, again, connecting to me this idea of this faded love. And this sort of adds this fact of sometimes you just meet these people by chance, and it turns out to be, you just have this undeniable connection. So pulling it all together, it seems like, and I don't know who this person is, we would have to get more information, maybe use another oracle. But it seems like very clear that Dragogg met someone, fell in love, it was sort of like a chance meeting, but it led to this connection, this sort of sense of like faded or destined relationship. And then maybe they left, or there's some sort of connection to the sphere of the gods. They left the small town. Dragogg, being sort of the kind of person who sticks to his guns, and when he makes a decision, sort of sticks to it and is strong, decided to leave, get out of God's reign, and hurt people along the way. These are important parts of, he had to give up this town, this life, and so there's that sort of the sense that, when you've given things up in order to chase something, you sort of have to kind of like go through it. So, but this is really interesting information. I'm really interested to weave that back in whenever I get back to Sphere Hoppers, to know that Dragogg is chasing this love connection, and something about finding the sphere of the gods. Maybe it's a goddess he's in love with, or maybe it's connected to the sort of fate thing. Kind of makes me think of kind of a Cupid situation. Maybe there's something connected to a god of love, a Cupid, that connected them, that maybe Dragogg is going to go, needs to, speak or meet this god, or there's something about this love connection that he needs to get to the sphere of the gods to sort out. So just wanted to show off the Publishing Goblins Oracle dice. Check out the Kickstarter. Again, this is just a fan making a fan video. So the campaign that's running right now has a large expansion to what I have right here. I have what is now called the Seasons set, and then I also have a small expansion of 3 dice. But the new set is going to add a whole nother set of another 20-something dice. And then there's a smaller set of 6. Anyway, there's much more. They all kind of work together. And just like all good stuff, the more that you have, the more combinations that can happen. They're just gorgeous. They're a lovely object to have. They're really interesting, not only for personal reflection, but as you can see, also for storytelling. So go check that out. Thanks for hanging out with me as I figure out a little bit of Sphere Hopper's lore, and check out the Kickstarter.